you can see that Canada is a very large nation. We are the circle that is on the western side. So you can see that even the mainland US looks small compared to us. So because it's such a big land, there's lots of stories across the land. We're going to talk about the Plains Cree people, which you can see in the circle at the bottom. So we're going to talk about the people that live there. And we'll also talk about the Inuit from the far north and some other people as well. You guys have been learning about colonization. When colonizers came to Canada, they were first explored by the French. They arrived on the east coast, and that is why we have a French province called Quebec. It took a long time for the European explorers and eventual colonizers to make their way to the plains and to the Cree people that have lived on this land for generations. And that is where
French and English, but mostly French people, carved their way into Canada through the rivers in the land. They met all kinds of different First Nations peoples. An economy of trade developed. Trade always brings change, sometimes good and sometimes bad. So here is some of the Europeans trading with the First Nations. They traded beaver pelts for a European item. In fact, Edmonton wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for trade. Our city started as a fort. Along with contact and trade came a more menacing export from Europe. When the French fur traders traveled down the rivers to trade with the natives, they sometimes brought a deadly companion. The Europeans brought deadly diseases, measles, influenza, and smallpox, to which of a native person with smallpox. So, it is almost impossible to overestimate the impact that disease had on the Cree people here in the plains, and on every Native American living on Turtle Island. There is no telling what the history of this land might have looked like if there was no disease that killed so many natives.
That's it. Hello. Hi. The name of my people are the Cree people. Long before Europeans and long before the white men arrived, we had our own way of life. The buffalo is the symbol of my people, and not the beaver. My people travel all around the land. We would travel with the seasons, hunt and trap. We would speak with the land. We were connected to the land. There are many sacred teachings that our elders hold and share with us. So much has been taken from our land. From our people, we're still fighting to find help, healing. Things are different from our people living this way, but that is how it is today. Some people say that education is our buffalo. Because we used to live off the buffalo, and now we can't hunt anymore, education has taken its place. I go to school like every other kid. I never went to a reserve school. I used to live in another city called another city in Canada called Saskatoon. And now I've been living in Edmonton for 10 years. We don't say goodbye in Cree because we will always see each other again. So since there is no word for goodbye, I'll say see you later.
And the guy. I have the blood of the Inuit. I moved to Edmonton from the Yukon 5 years ago. The Yukon is as far as north as Alaska. When I lived in the Yukon, the traditional ways of the people up north, there was lots of traditional stuff. Winter games, hunting, snowshoeing, living in Edmonton. The Inuit are developing their own government in the territory called Nunavut. They are fighting self-government. If there's any group in Canada that will be able to become its very own nation and not to be controlled by European people, it is in the Inuit people of Nunavut. Here is the map of Canada. It may be a map of Nunavut. It is not a country yet, but maybe one day. They are trying to get their language and Inuktitut recognized as an official language. Maybe one day you'll see a new country called Nunavut. With this flag, only one time will tell. For me, I have the blood of the Inuit, and I'm proud of who I am.
Hi, I'm Ashanka. And in the late 1800s, the Cree people faced a new challenge from the forces of colonization. A big one is residential schools. Residential schools were created by missionaries in order to change Native people. They wanted to kill the Indian in the child. Even though they were trying to spread Christianity, they often did so much harm. There is a very famous picture that shows what they were trying to do. They wanted to remove all the beliefs and language of the native and make them adopt Christianity. They would take kids from their parents and make them live and learn in residential schools.
What are Native rights? Well, to me, they mean me, my family, and my friends' freedom to be who we are, and just like any other white, black, Asian, and ethnic people's rights, we have our own. Every right for Aboriginal people in Canada let us be who we are in our own and cultural and religious ways. These rights have a source in our history. The British Crown and the Canadian government made promises in their treaties, and we know that it is right for them to keep those promises, because those promises are our Native rights. This movement, which began by a reaction to abuses of Indigenous treaty rights by Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of Canada, is about protecting the land and protecting the people. As a First Nation person in Canada, me and my family spent time protesting and being part of Idle No More movement.